So as you know that today's my talk is not on definition, it's not on concepts, it's about how graduates are marketable in a very near future and know this future, okay? So now if you look at this particular introduction slide, I'm affiliated to Universiti Putra, Malaysia. I'm also a fellow in Academic Science Malaysia, advisor for Biomed, and president for Biomed KL. So now, to begin with, I would like to share with all of you about the top 10 skills of 2025, which I think is very important to all the graduates and also the students. So now, according to the Economic Forum that listed these 10 skills, ranging from analytic thinking and innovation, active learning and learning strategies, complex problem solving, critical thinking and analysis, creativity, originality, and initiative, leadership and social influences, technology use, monitoring and control, technology design and programming, resilience, stress tolerance and flexibility, reasoning, problem solving and ideation. And according to Forbes 2021, future employment will need 8 new skills, which comprises of ambiguity, curiosity, openness, resilience, entrepreneurship, empathy, optimism and imagination, rapport and relationships, and most important is action. So now if you look at these slides, it's full of words. So now what I need to send the information here to share with you that all these are the critical elements that a particular graduate should possess in order to make themselves useful and also marketable in the job. Okay, now let's look at how these particular skills evolved from 2019 to 2025. According to some of the resources. So this particular slide is captured from today's morning, one of the presenters in the SDGs seminars. So I have actually introduced the 2025 and those essential skills, the top 10 skills, that you see that from Python programming way back in 2019, it goes all the way to more general and a bit widespread into analytical thinking and innovation. So to understand further that these particular 10 skills has been categorized into 4 different types of skills: problem solving, self-management, working with people, and tech use and development, as shows in different colors coding here. So I'm not going to deep into this because it takes time to actually tell you why is it classified there and why is it important. Each individual students should possess these particular skills. So ask yourself whether you have achieved all these particular skills. If you are not, please prepare to do so because the market now is looking for this. So now, apart from those essential skills that I actually shared with you just now about digital, there's also another area where we call it green skills. Okay, so this is something new to me as well, in a very new norms and also new era. They have divided these particular skills into 4 different major component, which is higher order thinking skills, technological skills, personal and social skills, skills for sustainability. Okay, so under each of these, there are different type of skills under each category. So those highlighted in green are those considered as green skills. So I'm not going to describe to you what are the green skills. So you can actually look into Google and find out. So these are particular skills that are the trends nowadays that the entrepreneur are looking for that. Okay, now let's look at, after we realize that what are the skills that we have, okay, now let's look at what are the jobs roles, top 10 job roles is increasing demands across different industries. So that skills actually map into these particular job roles. So ranging from data analysts and scientists, so I'm sure that most of you here, scientists, AI and machine learning specialists, big data specialists, digital marketing and strategy specialists, process automation specialists, business development professionals, digital transformation specialists, information security analysts, software application developers, Internet of Things, IoT specialists, okay? So if you are one of these particular component, if your particular studies or the skills that you acquire during the studies, inclusive of one of these particular 10 component, then you are safe and also you are highly demanded in these particular industries. So moving forward, that there are a lot of different talent, okay, every different centuries that this education institute produced. So let's look at what are the talent of the futures. Today's educators are preparing students for jobs that don't yet exist, using technologies and not yet invented to solve problems not yet identified, according to Reed Stephens. So now this particular statement mentioned that most of these universities now looking at transformation in terms of delivering those particular knowledge and skills. It's no more all those conventional approaches, and we are moving towards all this digital era, all this trend-based kind of information, those education based on the particular policies and also industry-based. So now, many of us that feel that after acquiring a degree, we are looking for a jobs. But now, the most important concept is not to be a job seeker, but to be a job creator. So why? Because it is important to be upfront to create a job, because if we fall into the category of job seekers, imagine how many companies or entrepreneurs or other industry available for us to look into for that particular jobs. So like it or not, I'm not sure whether the current curriculum that you attended actually train you all enough to be a job creator. How to be a job creators? So you need to be up to the trend and also all the policies, the global policy and national policies, and also those particular new norms like what all of us are facing. Okay, I will touch a little bit on how the current new norms actually creates a certain area that actually helps the graduates to venture into that particular industries. Okay, so what are the criteria of talents in the futures? So bear in mind that this particular term, I think many of us heard: learn, unlearn, relearn, co-learn, and co-create. So you must have all these elements in order to stay competitive in this particular working world now. Now, moving forward into next area will be the 6 drivers of change. So like it or not, that we have to adapt to the environment, to the current situation, to, for example, like the pandemic. Like it or not, nobody can deny that the pandemic have actually changed a lot of ways of people doing things in normal. So let's look at what are the 6 drivers of change in general. So first, the extreme longevity. Okay, so these all of us know people are living longer due to the lifestyles, due to the health care system, due to the proper management of health and etc. Second driver, the rise of smart machine and system. All of us now, most of us have handphones, smartphones, not those with the conventional phones. Tech that can augment and extend our own capabilities. Okay, computational world, the next drivers, which increases in sensors and processing, making the world a programmable system. So all you know that nowadays they actually have this AI technology that can actually identify facial, identify your iris, and also your movement, behaviors, name it. Okay, so there's also new media ecology, that is new communication tools, which requires media literacy and beyond the text, something that we are actually experiencing now through this Zoom or these virtual interactions. So apart from that, you have also superstructures organization, that is social technologies drive new forms of production and value creation, something like the logistic and etc. Social tools that are allowing organization to work at extreme scales. So utilizing those platforms to enhance a particular business or particular transaction. So apart from that, you are the last driver will be globally connected worldwide. So nowadays, everything's stay connected. Diversity and adaptability is at the center of operation. So now let's look at how these particular 6 drivers, okay, actually incorporated into all those future work skills. So when you're talking about sense making, so smart machines drivers will be there. Social intelligence involve the longevity drivers and also smart machine drivers and also global connected drivers. novel adaptive thinking involved smart machines, globally connected, and etc. So look at all those skills available and how they actually map those particular drivers. So this is not simply that being just mapped by its own, but it helps. Why this information is important? Because you know that to stay connected or stay competitive, you need to change yourself or adapt yourself into all these particular drivers or also these particular skills. Okay, how to get all these skills? So I said these particular components have been mapped. So what are the futures are likely? Are likely to be more flexible, agile, and network and connected. So I'm not sure whether many of the universities now, I'm sure that many of the universities now actually trying to actually transfer, reform the particular curriculum to be more borderless teaching and also borderless learning, inter-university, inter-countries, all these things in terms of their particular curriculum. So that particular curriculum is important. So there's also another huge context that if you want to venture into that component that I want to explain, it takes time. So in short, so there is a lot of component that are involved in all these particular what call that flexible teaching and learning. So that is involved in person, data manipulation, creativity and passion, digital, modular, independent, collaborative, global, multidisciplinary, machine augmented. All these things are something that I've highlighted just now. So now, this particular slide shows you that why I mentioned earlier, the job creators is important because all you know that in the 10 years ago, okay, 10 years ago, blogger is not something that is important, not even people knows what's blogger. Drone operators not exist at all, okay, sustainability manager. So we'll discuss a little bit more on this later in one of these few slides, what is called sustainability manager. It is something to really related with all those common trends, which is SDGs. Okay, apps developers. This is something to do with our smartphones because initially, that 10 years ago, smartphone is not available. Social media strategists and all these things, and also data scientists. Okay, so now ask yourself, what are the next in 10 years ahead? Okay, what are those new particular job or particular industry that you are going to create? Are you have enough skills, acquire enough knowledge to create a new particular field? Okay, so that's important. So now let's move into a little bit more into national context in Malaysia. So this particular component or this particular information actually adapted from ASM. Okay, the ASM is a think tank where looking into all these policies, helping the government to drive the economies and also scientific components. They have actually highlighted 95 emerging technologies, which I'm not going to spell out each of it. Okay, so you can actually download this particular document. It's not it's not locked. It's freely available in the ASM website. What is important is not an overnight kind of effort. It actually takes a very long effort for a lot of people to actually gather and actually comes up with this particular concept and so policy. So now, out of those particular technologies, okay, what are the drivers? As you know that drivers is important. So they have identified 10 of these particular drivers for Malaysia context, okay, which is 5G or 6G, sensor technology, 4D and 5D printing, advanced material, advanced intelligence system, cyber security and encryption, augmented analytics and data discoveries, blockchain, neurotechnology, and bioscience technologies. So now, from all these 10 drivers, they have also identified 10 socio-economic drivers, which is energy, business and financial services, culture, art and tourism, medical and healthcare, smart technology and system, which is the next generation engineering and manufacturing, smart cities and transportation, water and food, agriculture and forestry, education, and last, environment and biodiversity. So now to map those particular 10 particular drivers to these 10 socio-economic drivers, they come up with this 10-10 My STIE, okay, which I think many of the lecturers are aware about this, but I'm actually here to share with the students and also some of you graduated or those people who are in the industry to make full use of this 10-10 My STIE. I'll later share with you a little bit more why this 10-10 My STIE is not only just for research, not just for the lecturers or the researchers or the policy makers, but it is important for graduates to understand how this policy works and how it actually helps each of us to actually chart yourself into particular area. Okay, now let's look at what are the collaborative platform in relation with this national STIE. So they have these capacity builders, the connectors, the producer and manufacturers, technology providers, financing providers, standard settlers and regulators, supply chain and logistic providers, market access provider. So now let's look at how these 8 clusters, okay, helps in the industries. Okay. So now by looking at all those S1010 STIE, they then harness the multiple STIE ecosystem across Malaysia. So they have spent a lot of time and also effort in charting all those industry that is aligned with the 10-10 STIE. Okay, so now let's look at the corridor. Let's look at the northern corridor, which gives the potential STIE ecosystem. Now let's look at this particular map full of information. But one most important thing that you need to know that from this particular component that have already chart majority, that this northern corridor, the industry that involved in particular component, for example, manufacturing projects, there are top 5 areas in Perlis, manufacturing projects, top 5 area in Penang, other things. So now why this particular information is so important, not just limit to the researchers and so the scientists, or also the policymakers, the graduates, okay, to make sure that you are in this particular area where you should be heading to. So this is important, or else your skills is not fully utilized. For example, if your particular component skills developed on that particular area, that's for example in electronics, you should be looking into this particular area and this particular projects, and also how you blend. Let's say you're working in that particular industry, how do you blend into that particular industries? So and so on and so forth. For example, like they have chart here, biopolymers, fishery and agriculture in Pangkor. So these are the main few major projects they have identified. So let's look at the East Coast region. So for those of you who are in the East Coast region, so you can actually look for all these components where you can actually increase your particular market potential, okay, individual market potential. They have also in central region potential. They have southern region. I'm not going through into all this detail. All this information available, you can download and have a look. So before you actually send in your resume, looking for jobs, starting up a business, starting a new, create a jobs in that particular area, will it actually fit to this particular industries or this particular clusters? So that's why I say that this particular 10-10 STIE is a very good systems and also is a very good policy in harnessing all these industries, and let us look at the particular industry across Malaysia. So now what are the impacts of the national STIE niche areas? So you have the 12 economic boosters. So I'm not going to say it out one by one. You have also 11 dual impact enablers. So these are something that they have charted out. They have come up with all these particular impacts. So societal well-being catalyst, digital health, precision medicine, precision biodiversity, microgrid, personalized and experiential learning, smart system for connected rural-urban communities, human-centered design and analytics. So now, most of us or most of the particular students may always question, so I have studied way back 10 years ago. So those information might not be relevant to those that are having it now. So now you cannot blame, okay, because as I said, education and all these technologies is dynamic. It is about each individual is about yourself. You have to upgrade, you have to fine tune yourself, change, okay, into the area where there's particular niche or particular transformation has been set. Next, I'll move on to trends. So I have shared with you just now some of the national policies in science. So I've also shared with all the skills available. So the next things that most of the graduates or individuals should look into is the trends. So the national trends, the global trends, okay? So what are the trends nowadays? People talking about big data. People talking about Industrial Revolution 4.0, because those are the trends that you have to look for. And SDGs, people are talking SDG. Like it or not, all these particular trends is important. Okay, so to make sure that you stay competitive, your skills are actually matched into this, or you find a particular training, a particular upskills, your particular existing knowledge into all this component. So SDG. So I'm not sure every one of you aware about SDGs, and it's a hot topic. Everyone's talking about it. And Malaysia, let's look at the Malaysia SDG governance. So in 25th September 2015, Malaysia has committed to support and implement the 2030 agenda for SDG at the UN's SD Sustainable Development Summit, New York. Okay, so like it or not, Malaysia already committed. So all these particular industries, okay, should be aligned to this commitment. Okay, and then there's a National SDG Council established in 12th October 2016. So now we are in the phase 2, okay, which is focused on the post-2020 goals and targets. Okay, and then upcoming we will have phase 3, remaining goals and targets in line with the Malaysia capacity and global role. So SDG Steering Committee already formed also in 21st of December 2016. And also there's a SDG Technical Committee, which is based on the 5 working committee, which is clusters inclusivity, clusters well-being, clusters human capital, cluster environment and natural resources, cluster economic growth. So these are something that you need to digest if you want to stay trendy in this particular context. So as I said, SDG are incorporated into education and also higher institution to make sure that the students or the curriculums are all in line with this particular policy on concept. So now, just now in the early on, I mentioned that COVID actually is not just only a disaster to us, or not just hinder us from progressing, but they actually give us a lot of new industries to develop, or to, how to say, this particular pandemic have actually indirectly helped a certain industry to transform, to evolve into a particular area that no one else think this particular area is important before. Okay, so for examples like all these online shopping, logistic. So people are looking, last time is not that particular advanced. And for example, in digital healthcare, and all these things are so important nowadays. And you will see that in long run, all this will be the area that you should be focusing. Okay, if you know that, if you're aware that this pandemic is not just overnight, it's not just over about a year, it's going to prolong, and also the post-COVID or post-pandemic later, it will actually give more impact to other particular fields. Okay, now let's share. I would like to share a little bit more on Malaysian allied health professional professions, AHP allied health professions. Okay, so now for your information, this particular act has been actually gazetted, okay, in 2016, okay, and enforced on the 1st of July 2020. So now why I wish to why I'm sharing this, because some of us may fall into this category. I'm not saying that every one of us should actually register. So this particular act's in place because just to ensure the public or the client or the patients gets the best out of the particular system, and also to make sure that all of us practice in a proper proper condition or proper manners. So the registration of person practicing as allied health practitioners and those who carry on activities relating to allied health. For those that are not in allied health, don't worry, there's also another type of act, another different type of act. So I'll show you that what type of acts available that's being actually approved. Which is here, other registered healthcare professionals in Malaysia, medical officer, all of us know, dentists, nurses, midwife, pharmacists, assistant medical officers, optometrists, and optician. And also here comes Allied Health Professions Act, okay, so 2016. So we are still in the middle of establishing the particular system to ensure that maybe earlier on next year, okay, Q1 or Q2, that all the particular graduates who actually who wish to actually profess in that particular profession need to register. Okay, so what are those profession covers? It actually covers 23 initially. So now they have actually revised this particular list, and we are waiting for approval. Okay, I will not disclose the new list because it's not approved yet, but this is not the final 23 list. So the list will actually still adding on after this particular revision. So the AHP allows for the list in the second schedule to be extended from time to time. As I said, it's dynamic. If any of these particular professional field that they need to be regulated, so they can apply it. Okay, further, an activity related to allied health under the Allied Health Profession Act is defined as any activity which has a direct or indirect effects on patient care or on the health of an individual or the population. Okay, so now that is all about the national policies, okay, the existing act that is available for healthcare professionals. So now let's move on a little bit more to individual. So I actually want to share this particular thing is important that all of us need to think big, not just only thinking what we are doing now. So by thinking big, you need to plan a short-term and long-term goals, and that I would like to share one of my personal 6 P's of life that I always hold on, that you need to be patient, persistence, perseverance, passion, purpose, and the most important also as well, people stay connected, okay, because people are important to actually helps you along your particular career or particular way of living, okay. So now apart from those things, you have to also make sure that you are aware about all these Qs, cohesions, okay, before you only know that IQ, okay, EQ, there's a lot of other Q, learning ability cohesions, emotional cohesions, numerical, networking, spiritual, there are many more, okay. So now why this is important to know, because many of the industries actually looking into how to measure a particular person based on this component. Okay, now this slide shows you you have to understand all these simple questions: who you are, what you are doing, when you're going to finish, why you're doing in this field, and how you are going to create. For example, if you wanted to create a job, how you're going to create a job, and where. Is it national? Is it global? Is it overseas? So those are the things that you have to always think all the time. And I would like to share also these unique photos. I think every one of us see all these photos. So it depends on each individual how you look at the photos, and you will have different perception. So same thing goes to policy and all things, and also the work that you are doing. It is not about one way of looking at things, but there are a lot of perspectives that actually allow us to actually move even further. Okay, I think this is one of the few final slides. So let's share this simplified slides on the resilience. So in order to stay competitive and also to make yourself so-called classified as future-proof particular graduates, you have to be resilient. Okay, what do you think about all this resilience? There are 8 steps to become more resilient, which is accept change, become a continuous learner, take charge, make sure that you take charge in everything, find your sense on purpose, pay attention to self-identity, cultivate relationship, as I mentioned, the people, the P. The 7, the reflection process learning, new perspective and self-awareness, and skills shift. Remember that the skills that you learn here today might not be usable or might less usable in the future, but you need to relearn a new skills, as I always keep mentioning to my students. And bear in mind, your degree is just a paper, okay? Your education is seen in your behavior. Do not follow the majority, follow the right way, okay? So because many of us that think after you completed your studies, that you are finding a job. Why not thinking another way? Create a particular job. How to create? Look at what that is the demands, okay? So how you need to acquire a certain skills, a certain particular knowledge in order to do that. So I will end my talk with two particular quotes. So one from Barack Obama: change will not come if we wait for someone or some other person or some other time. We are the ones we have been waiting for. We are the change that we seek. And last one, the future belongs to those who prepare for it today. So I end my talk, and thanks for the organizer for the invitation.